Welcome. So these three companies, I'll allow them to introduce themselves.
My name's Cole Evans. I'm the CEO of Crystal Lake Mining, actually as of Thursday. I'd say we have 728 square kilometers in what we'd call the heart of the Golden Triangle. So that's taking Galore Creek South and Pretium, Bruce Jack, KSM, SK Creek area. One of the largest landholders, and Crystal Lake just actually got the property about a year ago, and did a massive drill program this year, and most of our results are actually still yet to come out, so stay tuned on that. But
hi, I'm Brad Rourke, president of Scottie Resources. Our story is we've taken a past producing mine, the old Scottie gold mine that produced in the 1980s. For the most part, for the last 3 years, we've been cleaning up an old company. We've reinterpreted a bunch of data, and we've consolidated a whole bunch of land in the Golden Triangle. We're really just getting started, and we've got a little bit of momentum.
Hi, I'm Ken Konkin with Tudor. I'm the Vice President of Project Development. I've been with the company for just a year. It's a relatively new company, but old gold fields, if you will. We're attached to the Seabridge KSM property and the Trend specifically as well. We are also attached to the Pretium ground immediately south. I was Pretium for about 7 years, running snowfields and the Pretium projects. I was a project manager for Silver Standard and the transition to Pretium. So it's good to be back home.
Nice. Actually, Ken and I first met when he was at Pretium. I used to market them sometimes. So for those that don't know where the Golden Triangle is, it's in northwestern BC. It's been a known area with a lot of gold for a while. So I guess what's changed in the region that has brought a lot of global interest to that area? So I'll just pose the question.
Well, what attracted me, I live in the area, and I think the area is there. Everyone knows there's a lot of gold up there, and they've known for a long period of time. But I think when Pretium put a major power line up to there, that's a very positive thing for the area. A lot of the roads are a lot more accessible in the area, and they put a new deep water port in the town of Stewart. So I think infrastructure-wise, it's unprecedented, and I don't know if people have really turned onto that fact. And I live in the area. I raised my family in a little town called Smithers, and when I saw that infrastructure going in, I just went, wow, there's an opportunity there, and it was actually Pretium that had a lot of momentum 3-4 years ago when I tuned into it, and I went, wow, infrastructure, you got somebody that's pot committed that's going to get there, and I think that forms opportunity for Scottie, but for everybody in the area.
Since we're on the theme of infrastructure, maybe you could talk about each of your projects and access to infrastructure and the obstacles.
Yeah, that's a key factor for anyone looking at putting things into production. And anything, classically, I think what Deborah was referring to is the rebirth or the emergence of a gold camp is the fact that it's not just the gold, it's the size of the gold, it's the actual size of the deposits. These are now becoming world-class. So this is now world-class terrain. It's like the stuff you see at Red Lake, where you see trends that are predictable. The exploration in the past was difficult because you had helicopter access out of Stewart. Now there's aviation fuel available at Bell 2. That opens the entire back door. If you look at the way exploration and discovery has occurred, it's occurred for the range of the helicopter. Basically, it used to be the old workhorse was a Hughes 500. It had a 1.2 hour range, so that's all you could do. And all these outlier areas that were classified as being remote became automatically close by proxy by way of the Volcano Creek Road. It brought a road to the heart of the Golden Triangle, so we are located right 10 kilometers off of that with our SK Creek North. The road crosses our property. The other aspect is, for Pretium specifically, I'm as proud of the discovery of that system as I am bringing all of the mining equipment on its own tracks from the town of Stewart. So we actually wintered over the top, and I've always maintained, in my experience with Silver Standard was, if you have a project that's in a winter area, you had better look at it in a way of an asset. So we are blessed having a 10-month winter project plagued by 2 months of summer because our access and our mobility is much greater with snow. We just need flowing water, and we're about to prove that. We're going to go in the spring and start drilling earlier than anybody else. Why? Because we're taking everything over the top of the ice. The other reason, no permit required. Walk straight over the ice, no ground disturbance. We're going to utilize that and cut helicopter costs. In the past, companies stayed away because the helicopters are so expensive. Now, we're on the doorstep to the highway. The roads have come into us, and I wish we'd get more support from governments to give us approval to put more infrastructure like roads, because that is the game changer specifically.
Yeah, and just touching on what Ken and Brad were saying too, to put it into a quantitative perspective as far as the money flowing into the Golden Triangle on a general sense. In the last 18 months, you can track between 3 transactions, nearly 3 billion Canadian dollars, and that's between the sale of the AltaGas, or the Northwest Projects power plant. That was, don't quote me on the exact numbers, but I believe 70% by Manulife Financial, 25% by Axiom Infrastructure. Of course, you've got Red Chris, 70% bought out by Newcrest for $807 million, and you have Newmont Gold. Sorry, just Newmont now, I guess, as of 2020, that bought out 50% of Galore Creek for $275 million last year as well. So there's 3 transactions within 18 months to give you a scale of what's going on. And also touching again on what Ken was saying on the scale. Now, I'll touch on a lot of projects because I'm a firm believer in the Golden Triangle, if you look at KSM for an example, that's Canada's largest gold reserve. Forget the copper, forget the silver, forget the moly. There's 38.8 million ounces of gold in that resource, and I'm just using that as one example. So the scale is beyond human comprehension, the way I see it. And then getting onto the infrastructure too. Of course, I got to talk about Crystal Lake a little bit as well. We're going to put their plugs in, and it's touching on what Ken was mentioning too. Everyone's blessed by particularly the power plant developments to the south of where our project would be. The McClymont power plant, the intake actually sits on our property, but also to the north too. What a lot of people don't realize, and I'm fortunate to know because I'm one of the few people flying around in a helicopter every day seeing it. Galore Creek, Teck and Newmont, they've actually completed over 30 kilometers of that access road into Galore, which touches our project on the north end. So we're working hard on it right now for winter 2020, 2021. We'll have a winter road right into camp, which puts us within 3 kilometers of one of our major target areas. So it's an exponential change, and that has dramatic mineral economic effects for everybody.
I do promise to let you all do a little plug, but before that, I think one of the other issues in the region has been First Nations relations. Maybe you could touch on how that's changed over the past while?
I'll go first on that. My meeting's tomorrow at 9, so I'll let you know at 9:30 how that goes. And actually, we've had great response with Tahltan. They've come on for a site visit. They're great guys. They're knowledgeable. They've had experience with previous mining companies, Barrick, coming through with Eskay Creek. They've got alliances. They've got professional alliances. They've done an excellent job. I think the problem that you're going to see for Tahltan Nation is getting enough people, workers, to provide the services for the growing needs. Besides Crystal Lake, they're a plug for you guys there. When I was there working on that project, the road was only 8 kilometers from the site. It broke my heart to actually use a helicopter on that one. But these things are all getting much more access, and Bradley's projects, I mean, all these companies have great merit. They're not just greenfields, hopeful projects. These things are on, in the case of Northwest Zone, they've got a resource. It's a small resource, a 250,000 ounce, a little more than a 250,000 ounce, but some good grades. He's coming up with some great values, great numbers coming out on the drill front. So my point is, going forward, as long as the First Nations, Gitxsan, did a great job with Pretium on the permitting. It was from discovery of the hole in 2009. We didn't even target Valley Kings till 2010. We were pouring Dory in 2017, and that included permitting and getting on board with First Nations. So I have nothing but praise to give our Tahltan group for what we're going to do going forward, because they're like us, they're business people. They want to see it go forward for their own future.
Yeah, my experience with I'm dominantly in the Nisga'a land and a little bit in the Tahltan land, but I've raised my children in the community. I've coached half the kids in hockey over years, so I see my relationship as one of, I get free fish, and that's not a joke. It's something that's sacred to the community. You just include people. They're just human beings. Everybody treats fair. Everybody these communities need jobs, and there's jobs to be had. So as long as you treat fair, and it's a two-way street. And so we've had no troubles, and I think we've learned, everybody in the business, is that it's something that you need to look at right from the beginning, because if you don't, an ounce of prevention is way better than a pound of cure.
Absolutely. And to touch on too, I've got tremendous respect for the Tahltan, the TNDC, TCG, everything they're doing up there. They're a model for how industry and First Nations relations should work across Canada. And another personal story, like what Brad's saying, we're really proud with working with the Tahltan this year. We had, to give you an idea of their level of involvement, we had the only Tahltan only drill crew. So our drillers, our helpers on the drill, everything. They're all Tahltan people, because mining is a part of their culture, and it has been for a long time. So we're honored to be working with them. They really are the best.
Great. Thank you. With the last few minutes that we have, I'm going to get you guys to do my job, which is give me 3 to 5 sales points on why you like your project, and maybe a little bit of news flow that we can expect over the coming months. Let's start with Ken.
Okay. Top reasons. I think the superstar of our project is Goldstorm. The recent drilling is staggering in my mind. I have never had 14 drill holes go 100% on the intended targets. Every hole hit. They not only hit, they hit hard and well. I had planned 21 drill holes, but we only got off 14 because it was such a big target. So every drill hole was going further and deeper and longer. I swore to everybody I'm not going to go out there and drill a 1,200 meter hole, and yet we drilled a 1,199 meter hole. Why? Well, we were in a zone that I refused to stop, and we ripped the head bolts off 3 times trying to get that hole to the bottom. That was hole 47. It was a staggering 1,081.5 meter intercept of about a 0.7 gold equivalent. And the nice surprise is what we did predict was a nice copper pulse came out of it. The new CS copper stream 600 zone is the new added feature to this. All the deposits, from including snowfields, all the Kerr, the sulfurites, the Mitchell, the iron cap, they have a copper component and silver component. And we were actually mystified at one of the intercepts in hole 42. And these were 150 meter step outs. And when you talk about step outs, most people say, how big of a step are you going to do, 100 meter, whatever. I was initially going to start with 200. We couldn't because of a bit of topography issues, so we just backed it off to 150. So we did 2 of them. So the 2 300 meter step outs probably doubled the actual size of what the actual target is. We're now at a 1 billion ton conceptual target. Keep in mind the top 300 meters, the tallest tower here is the Shangri-La, is 208 meters. 200.8 meters, sorry. It's 100 meters taller than that, and it runs over a gram, averages. That's at surface. This thing apexes. So we don't know where the bottom of it is. We don't know where the end of it is. We don't know how far it comes out on either dimension. We just know that it's actually the same trend as the sulfurettes thrust fault that Seabridge has, the controlling feature. So we're looking forward to looking at the periodicity and looking from both sides for hunting the same targets, the same signatures that occur approximately 3 kilometers off to either shoulder of Goldstorm. So given the recent access for Volcano Creek, and I look at that as recent. Like, I mean, when someone was telling me they've had a whole 35 years in this industry, just my experience in this Golden Triangle has been 35, 40 years. So when I first came up there, forget about it. There was no access. It was Calpine Resources. They were drilling at Tomakai Lake for a vein deposit in the 85 and happened to hit a huge lens of massive sulfide. It went right down it. 109 was the hole. Can you imagine that? We drilled Bruce Jack. That was a good one. Great example. There's 1,000 drill holes in that. There was actually 100,000 meters of drilling in that. And here we come out of it. Hole SU-12 hits 17,000 grams. over 1.5 kilos. So the other aspect of the drill holes, of the 14, there was a story that came out of the top 10 drill hole intercepts. We made the top 4 of that top 10. Our press release came out post that document, but just to show you what size of world-class targets, this is it. We are competing with the globe, with the best, and in AK-47 districts. This is one of the best political, geopolitical, sociopolitical environments you can possibly hope for. So yeah, that's my love on that. So 300 horizon, absolutely. The rest of it, let's see how deep it goes.
Okay.
Well, what would you like with Scottie Resources and things that I'd like to leave you with is I'm relatively unknown. I've been pretty much self-funding this for about 4 years. I started out with 400 hectares. I have 18,500 hectares in the Golden Triangle. I have a past-producing mine that's sandwiched between Pretium and Ascot, which is the old Premier mine. I'm road accessible. We've done all the dirty hard work. I've had equity exploration do all my technical work. I've got a fantastic VPX, who's the program head for BCIT, young PhD. We just finished our first drill program and tested the model and the theories, and we just hit 3 for 3 on a very, very small program, and it's wide open everywhere. And so I'd encourage you to just have a look. We're new. We have a lot of running room to go. If it matters, Eric Sprott just gave me a couple $1 million, and I cut him back. And so I've got doors are opening. No one knows about us. I have a very, very low market cap compared to my peers. And just watch us run.
Perfect. Cole?
Yeah, and for Crystal Lake, so a little background on myself. I'm actually a geologist by trade. I fell into the business game more so as a result of just being a geologist in the mining industry. I became the CEO on Thursday. Like I said, I'm a big believer of the project. I own 2 other private companies. One, we're actually one of the largest exploration services companies in Western Canada, and then another one's a private strategic mining investment company that looks for projects that we vet through our quite a large database. We got about $64 million in work expenditures that we call in usable 3D modeling through our private company. And where that gets into is, to be quite frank, 18 months ago I had no idea Crystal Lake existed. Over the last 9 months, I've personally invested $2.1 million into the project. I'm actually the largest shareholder of the company now, and it's for a reason. Like I said, it bases all back to the fundamentals and what we see. It's an incredible land package, but you have everything. The high-grade gold is there. A little plug for Ken. There's actually it's called the Ken Zone. Is one of them.
Not me.
But so we have that would be the Northwest Zone, but it's more beyond that, and we've confirmed that. We went back and started assaying core from the 80s that had never been touched. They drilled just over 16,000 meters in the 80s, but they only assayed less than 20% of it. And we just started asking, what's the best way to get results? Is just sample the core that people already drilled for you. And we're getting numbers back. We got 28.7 grams gold over 0.93, nearly a meter, so about an ounce over a meter gold. Well out of the zone that just nobody saw. So we went in our second hole there this year, testing 2 theories. One, what we thought they were doing, and the one time you want to get a duster, it was a total duster, perfect. Then we tried the one that what we thought was going on. We hit 44 meters of 4 grams gold, 4 grams silver, and 0.29% copper. Had a high grade within there of about half an ounce over 8 meters, or 15 grams over 8 meters, about half an ounce over 35 feet, roughly. So we did a massive program there this year. That's just touching on the high grade gold. We're butting up towards Galore Creek to the northwest. That's actually the one I'm most excited about. It's a area called Burgundy Ridge. We're, like I said, from my private company perspective, we're really big on technology, particularly something called hyperspectroscopy. It's actually most commonly used in missile guidance systems, but there's really important applications, I think, in the 21st century for mineral exploration as well. And we hit a blind target on the porphyry on our third hole, 3 of the 4 zones we're drilling have never been drilled before, and we just nicked the side of the potassic zone. It was 56 meters, 0.45 copper, 0.33 gold, those kind of grades. But you can put that up against that's a blind target with some guys using some pretty crazy science. You put those grades up against the Red Chris, your Galores, it's on par, right? That's quite shallow. And then we found the first high-grade nickel cobalt in the region. Previously, 6 months ago, we had no idea that existed. We got the highest grades on surface. The highest grade sample would be 7.7% nickel, 0.85 cobalt, in this big area we now refer to as Chachi. We did a tremendous amount of geophysics there, all sorts of stuff. Like I said, I could talk about it for a week, but unfortunately, we don't have that sort of time. But check out our website and all the work we've been doing. And a really important thing, the majority of what we did this year is still yet to come out. That includes drilling, more geophysics, geochemistry, hyperspectroscopy. There's still lots to come, so stay tuned.
Great. Well, thank you very much. That concludes our panel discussion on the Golden Triangle.